Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So there's an interesting story I've been following for really the past couple of weeks. Now, funny enough, I actually did a video on this topic last week, but the video file got corrupted, so redoing it now. But the Titans potentially could shake things up in the NFL draft, right? I think when we take a look at a bunch of mock drafts, I know when I was doing my mock draft, that just seemed, right, the Titans at 7, it just seems like it's the easiest pick in the draft. Joe Alt at 7. Right now, of course, it's not a guarantee that he's going to be there, and now all of a sudden there's rumors that the Chargers can go with Joe Alt and maybe plug him at right tackle. But if Alt is on the board, you just look at the Titans. To me, it just makes all the sense in the world, right? They really need a left tackle. Joe Alt's the best left tackle in the class. You can pair Alt up right next to one of the best young left guards in football, and Peter Skoronski, who's still on his rookie contract. He's going into his sophomore year, right? So you're looking at the left side of the Titans offensive line being arguably the best young tandem in the entire National Football League if Joe Alt is the selection. Also, they drafted Will Levis in the second round. I understand it was Mike Vrabel as head coach, but it was still Carthen at GM. He made that draft pick. You got to keep the guy like that upright. He was destroyed last year behind a bad offensive line, right? As Jets fans here, we know what a bad offensive line looks like, unfortunately. So, to me, it's like, it's a no-brainer. Left tackles are hard to find, especially cheap, young left tackles that have a really high floor and a high ceiling. But when you listen to Brian Callahan speak about the 7th overall pick, when you listen to GM Rand Carthen speak about the 7th overall pick, it sounds like they could be leaning in a different direction. Now, of course, it could be draft smoke. You're not just going to unload, your draft plans to the media, right? And like press conferences and whatnot, obviously. But I do feel like when it comes to the Tennessee Titans and you start connecting the dots, things are looking a little bit more, I guess, open than a Joe Alt case closed situation. So when Callahan was actually at the Combine and he was interviewed and asked about the whole offensive line versus wide receiver debate, he did actually say, when things are equal, I will take the guy that will score touchdowns. Right now, of course, the Titans do need help at wide receiver, although they still have Treylon Burks under contract on his rookie deal. DeAndre Hopkins is, still under contract as well. So I would probably say O-line is the bigger need, in my opinion. But where did Callahan come from? Cincinnati, right? What happened in Cincinnati while Callahan was there? They chose Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. Now, hindsight being 2020, it didn't really feel like the Bengals could go wrong, right? Sewell has been a fantastic player. Jamar Chase has been a fantastic player. Could they try to duplicate that same situation in this year's class? I guess now, potentially. If you would have asked me a month ago, I probably would have said no. But again, according to Callahan here, he's going to opt for the wide receiver versus the offensive lineman if things are equal as far as like the big board grading is concerned. We actually have another quote, right? Both Rand Carthen and Brian Callahan with a huge emphasis on acquiring playmakers and guys that can quote unquote score touchdowns. Also referenced a draft class that is deep at offensive line and Bill Callahan's ability to develop players. Right, I get the feeling, this is coming from Sam Phelan, I get the feeling that wide receiver at 7 is likely for the Titans. And that is a great point, right, from Bill Callahan, right? Obviously one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire National Football League. And, you can go out and get a starting tackle in round 2. The Titans will have a high second round pick. So it's totally fair to say. And of course, you just being realistic here, being objective, you can also push back and say the same exact thing with wide receiver, right? You can go out and get a starting wide receiver in the second round. But the bottom line is this, right? As a Jet fan here, God, I am hoping that the Tennessee Titans go with a wide receiver at spot number 7, right? Odunze, whoever, because if Joe Alt is on the board for the Jets, and like, let's play this out, right? Say Joe Alt is on the board at spot number 7 for Tennessee and they pass. They go with Neighbors or something like that. You move on to spot number 8, right? It's the Atlanta Falcons. Do they really need help at tackle? They have enough offensive playmakers. You have a defensive head coach coming in, Raheem Morris, a defense that I feel like really lacks edge help. You have your choice between all, the top three edge rushers, in this class, Laiatu Latu, Gerard Verse, and Dallas Turner. Raheem Morris, again, first draft class. I think he would want to go maybe address the position of need. You don't want to see your defense not failing to get after the quarterback. The NFC South is wide open here. So, and it's not to say that Joe Alt is not an impact player year one, obviously not. But, again, is tackle the biggest need for the Falcons at 8? And then at spot number 9, I guess if a couple wide receivers are off the board, Chicago could go Alt to replace Braxton Jones at left tackle. So I guess it's up for debate there. But man, if Joe Alt is at spot number, like, I'm all the point is here, I'm all for teams passing on Joe Alt. Right, if we can land the best offensive tackle, the best left tackle in this class at spot number 10, I would be ecstatic. I'd be totally amped up. Now, of course, this is before free agency, so we don't really know what moves are going to be made at the tackle positions. Maybe the Jets invest a ton of money in left tackle, which now opens up right tackle, which is like a perfect fit for, Fuaga or something like that. We'll see how it plays out, but anyway, just a cool little storyline that's unfolding here as the weeks go by, throughout the draft process. And just one thing I like to do is just literally think about yourself watching the draft unfold, right? We get to 7, Joe Alt's on the board, and the Titans pass. And all of a sudden, like, the excitement starts to build, right? Just kind of trying to forward think and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.